good midnight children of the moon, creatures of the candlelight, and wanderers foolish enough to answer knocks after dark. Welcome back to Papa Ginger's Midnight Circus, the cursed carnival, where the wine may not be wine, and every pale stranger seems just a little too charming. I'm your keeper of the velvet coffin, your crimson-coated master of the macabre, Papa Ginger. Tonight, we sink our teeth into one of horror's oldest and most seductive monsters, vampires. Elegant, immortal, predatory. They don't simply kill, they tempt. So lock your windows, hide your throat, and if someone beautiful appears at your bedroom door tonight, for the love of the damned, don't invite them inside. So zombies are chaos, werewolves are rage, ghosts are grief. But vampires are desire. That's why they've survived for centuries in myth and in horror. They represent temptation, forbidden hunger, power, seduction, eternal youth, and beneath all the gothic romance lies something darker. Control. A vampire drains life to preserve its own. And without that, it has no existence. A parasite wearing elegance like a tailored suit. Every era reinvents vampires to reflect society's obsession. In older stories, vampires represented disease and death. Later, they became symbols of sexuality and repression. And modern vampires often reflect addiction, toxic relationships, and the fear of losing humanity while chasing immortality. And honestly, the scariest thing about vampires isn't their fangs. It's the idea that we might willingly surrender ourselves to them. We bow tonight before the king of vampires himself, Dracula. Created by Bram Stoker in 1897, Dracula became the blueprint for nearly every vampire story that followed. The cape, the castle, the hypnotic stare. Without Dracula, horror cinema would look very different. And what makes Dracula endure isn't just a monster, it's the atmosphere. It's the fog drifting through graveyards, it's the candles flickering in the ancient halls, wolves howling beneath a blood-red moon. Vampire stories thrive on mood, and cinema embraced that beautifully. From the shadowy nightmare of Nosferatu to the gothic terror of the Hammer horror films, to the modern interpretations dripping with style and tragedy, vampires evolved alongside horror itself. Because unlike many monsters, vampires do adapt. They change their clothes with every generation, they change their hairstyle with every generation, they change everything about themselves. But beneath the charm, the hunger always remains. Now, not all vampires are the same, my nocturnal little goblins. Some are monstrous, ferocious beasts hiding in the darkness, and others are tragic immortals, cursed to outlive everyone they loved. And then there are the plain predators, the ones who smile before they destroy you. Films like 30 Days of Night turn vampires into savage animals. Interview the Vampire explored loneliness and eternal sorrow, and Let the Right One In gave us one of the most unsettling deceptions of companionship in horror history. And then there's The Lost Boys, which prove vampires can absolutely wear leather jackets and still be terrifying. The beauty of vampire horror is flexibility, and that's what makes it special. It can be romantic, violent, psychological, anything. Vampire stories can be anything you want. Sometimes they're everything and all of them at once. And maybe that's why audiences keep returning to them. Because vampires aren't just monsters, they're mirrors reflecting our deepest cravings. Gather around my moonlit misfits. Papa Ginger has tonight's cursed recommendations. For Gothic classics, you have Dracula, 1931, Nosferatu, Horror of Dracula. For your stylish modern bloodsuckers, you have The Lost Boys, you have Blade, and you have From Dusk Till Dawn. But if you want something haunting and emotional, then you need Interview the Vampire, Let the Right One In, and Only Lovers Left Alive. But if you are craving that pure nightmare fuel, 30 Days of Night. Nothing says terror quite like vampires hunting in endless darkness. But please do watch responsibly, and perhaps avoid mirrors afterwards. Now, do you know what fascinates me most about vampire stories? Immortality always looks glamorous. Always does. Until you think about it too long. Watching everyone you love grow old, entire generations fading into dust, history repeating itself endlessly. Eventually eternity stops sounding like a gift. It becomes hunger without satisfaction, loneliness without end. And perhaps that's why vampire stories endure. Because beneath the horror, there's sadness. The vampire is trapped, forever starving, forever pretending to be human, forever chasing something it can never truly reclaim. And maybe that's the cruelest curse of all. And if someone tells you they'd love you forever, be careful. In vampire stories, they usually mean it, literally. But the moon is sinking behind the circus tents and the coffins are closing for dawn. And something hungry is still wandering the midway tonight. But before you disappear into the darkness, remember, not every monster hides its teeth. Not every predator looks frightening. And sometimes the most dangerous creatures are the ones we invite inside willingly. Until next time, keep garlic nearby, avoid lonely castles, and never trust anyone who smiles without blinking. This has been Papa Ginger's Midnight Circus. I'm Papa Ginger, and I'll see you after sunset.